Hello and welcome to our inaugural episode. I'm Ahmed El-Khouly joining you from South America. With me is Patrick Phillips, and together we'll unravel the complex and controversial situation involving Sean P. Diddy Combs. But before we go any further, could you tell us about your journalistic backgrounds and this series of podcasts?
Well, thank you, Holly. It's great to be here. You know, you and I, we started making comedy films like 5 years ago. We called it The Gringo and the Arab. They were very amateur, but we got to know each other pretty well doing that. And since then, we've made videos on BitChute. I have a BitChute channel. And we've really found that we work together. We've done interviews with other people, and so it's really great to be in this partnership. You know, I have been involved with independent media and political activism for many years. So I think it's high time that I have a chance to share what I've learned. And I'm glad that also you are putting your talents to good use.
The pleasure is mine, Patrick. Thank you. So today we're diving into a topic that has captured headlines and stirred debates across the entertainment industry and beyond. This entertainment mogul have sparked discussions about celebrity, power, and justice. We'll explore the allegations, the legal battles, and the broader implications for Hollywood and the music world. Whether you've been following the story closely or are hearing about it for the first time, we promise to bring you a thoughtful and detailed analysis. So, first of all, could you tell us who P. Diddy is and what he's accused of?
Yeah, well, he's a rapper, and he's been known for a very wild lifestyle. And he has apparently for many years been having what he calls freak-off parties in his mansions. And he was not secretive about it. He's gone on American talk shows talking about the freak-off parties, the alcohol that's involved, but there's a few months ago, the FBI raided his palace, and they then arrested him.
Okay, so is he American?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, can you break down the specific charges that have been brought against P. Diddy? What are the legal implications of these charges?
There's no doubt that P. Diddy has a history of criminality, and we're only finding out that now. He was involved in 1999 in a nightclub shooting.
Okay.
At the time, he was dating Jennifer Lopez. She was at the nightclub, and as well as a rapper from South America named Shane, who was signed to P. Diddy's record label. And guns were drawn, shots were fired, a woman got shot in the face, and there was a trial. And as part of the trial, there was, of course, an investigation, and the rapper Shane wound up spending 10 years in jail for a shooting that many legal experts now suggest there's good evidence that
so they both made the mistake. You mean they both?
Well, some legal experts have said that P. Diddy was able to manipulate the jury and the courtroom in a way so that Shane could take the blame. I haven't studied the case.
Okay.
I haven't studied the case, but I'm pointing that out to say that, excuse me, he does have a history of criminality. And then recently, a videotape from a hotel was released to the public where P. Diddy was seen beating and kicking and dragging an ex-girlfriend, and they released it to the public recently. In that case, there were no criminal charges that were filed, but there was a lawsuit And so
And when did that happen?
the videotape was released a month or so ago. The incident happened a few years ago, but there's no doubt that he has a history of criminality, and they found guns in his palace. They found drugs.
Wow.
In the United States, if you got an unregistered gun, that's serious. That's also against the law. But I think that it's important to focus on what are the charges, because a lot of times when these high-profile cases come, there's so much gossip and there's so much speculation. We forget what are actually the charges. Now, there are criminal charges that are against P. Diddy right now, and that's why he's in jail. But there are also civil lawsuits that are being brought against him by women. The problem is that we've seen over the last 15 years really an amplification, an extension, an expansion of what constitutes sexual harassment and rape, so that famous people, movie producer Harvey Weinstein, without a doubt, have been sent to jail for the rest of their lives, in Harvey Weinstein's case, 20 years, for behavior that only a short time ago wasn't considered criminal. And we're seeing that evidence is admitted in court that even for a short time ago wasn't considered good evidence. And the reason is that there's been a politicization of concepts like rape and sexual harassment. And now I've started to see this shift in the culture where there's also a politicization of the concepts of human trafficking and prostitution. So what I'm going to say isn't to say that he's not guilty, but you have to focus in on the criminal charges. Prostitution, human trafficking, these are racketeering charges that are brought against mafia organizations. What's being claimed is that his record company and the whole apparatus of his business was designed to traffic women into prostitution. But they use an interesting new definition of prostitution that for me is very weird. It's very strange. He wasn't trafficking these women into prostitution to make money, but they say for his own sexual pleasure.
Sexual desire. Yeah.
Yes, and we're also finding out that he's probably bisexual. The thing is that according to these women that are a part of this criminal case against him, he would promise them money, promise them help being with modeling careers, promise them jobs in the music industry, and pretended like he wanted to have a serious relationship with them. And so then they went along with it. That, for me, although I don't agree with that behavior, that's not illegal. That maybe he's a womanizer, certainly. Maybe he's a narcissist, certainly. But it does damage to the real...
He doesn't deserve to be in jail because of that.
Yeah, now there are civil lawsuits that are being brought against him for claiming that he claiming that he forced sex on women against their will. You can't do that. That's against the law. But those aren't the criminal charges. So there's a lot of speculation. This is the one topic in Ecuador that everybody wants to talk about, and they're saying he was being a pedophile with Justin Bieber, but you have to look at the specific charges, and the specific charges are bizarre because I've never seen prostitution defined in the way that the state is now defining it. I'm not saying that he's a good guy. I'm not saying that he doesn't have history with
We're,
criminality.
we're not talking about whether he's good or not, but we're just talking about, does he deserve, because of these actions, does he deserve to be in jail or not? You mean that?
Yeah, and it's bizarre. Look, the influencer Andrew Tate, who has a podcast, and he's a political guy, works out of Romania. He's been in jail and under house arrest and in a lot of legal trouble over the last few years because of human trafficking. And all over the media, Andrew Tate, human trafficker, Andrew Tate, human trafficker. But they define human trafficking, there's no sex involved. It was moving a girl from one place to the other to take photos of her on Instagram.
But could you tell us a little bit about what the differences between prostitution and human trafficking are?
Human trafficking is a broader term. Humans can be trafficked for reasons other than sex. Humans can be trafficked for underground labor.
Okay.
Humans can be trafficked for reasons other than just sex.
So human trafficking is a broad word.
Yeah, it usually means
encompasses
when you're taking people and making them do things that are illegal, where you're taking people against their will and making them do things that are illegal. So in the case of the influencer Andrew Tate, he asked these women, "Do you want to come to a party? Can I take photos of you on Instagram?" And then and also in those cases they were upset that he pretended like he wanted to have a serious relationship. Human trafficking is usually used in the context of trafficking women for prostitution, but it could also be used for bringing people for other usually illegal activities. Prostitution, of course, is when you get women for sex, and so or you sell women for sex to make money. So the person that's in charge of that, they're called a pimp.
Okay.
So to make the racketeering charges stick, P. Diddy is the pimp on top of a business that traffics women. But it's interesting, the women didn't call the police after it happened saying they were raped. They went willingly, but they're saying that P. Diddy coerced them by saying that he wanted to have a serious relationship. And last time I checked, it's not against the law to be a womanizer.
Okay, so with a figure as influential as Diddy, there is bound to be significant impacts on his business and personal brand. How do you think these allegations and subsequent legal battle will affect his standing in the music and entertainment industry?
Well, if he's in jail for the rest of his life, it's going to be very hard to have any kind of professional future. But I just want to go back to what we were talking about before about the distinction between the criminal charges and civil lawsuits.
Okay.
A lot of people in Ecuador who read the news and listen to the news, they've told me that Donald Trump was found guilty of sexual harassment. But actually, the case that happened a few months ago where Trump had to pay $100 million, he wasn't found guilty of sexual harassment for something that happened 20 years ago. He was found guilty of defamation of character. That means when you damage somebody's image, because he wrote on Twitter that the woman was lying when she said that he raped her in a department store 20 years earlier. But then people come to me and they tell me, no, Trump was found guilty for sexual harassment, but that actually not the charges. So the same thing, there's with this sort of thing with P. Diddy, and there's a lot of gossip, there's a lot we don't know, but I think it's important to maintain the distinction between what are the criminal charges and what are the lawsuits. And so far, he's not being charged for rape. So it's It's a bizarre redefining of human trafficking and prostitution that fits into this larger theme of the war against men and this amplification of these concepts. And I think it does damage to the real victims of sexual abuse.
As we wrap up today's discussion on the serious allegations against Diddy Combs, it's clear that this story touches on much more than one individual's actions. It prompts us to think about the mechanisms of power, accountability, and justice within our society, especially in the spaces of celebrity and entertainment. So thank you, Patrick, for your insights and expertise.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
To our listeners, we hope this episode has provided you with a deeper understanding of the issues at play and perhaps promoted you to think about the broader implications. We invite you to continue this conversation with us online. Share your thoughts and questions on our social media platforms. We're eager to hear what you think. Thank you for tuning in, and take care.